Hi everyone, Cornelia. Welcome to my Blooming Bakes channel, and today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy coffee cake. Coffee is one of my favourite things, so I love the flavour of a coffee cake as well, and this recipe you can make as strong or as weak as you want to, because you can just adjust the amount of coffee or the type of coffee that you add. Right, so let's get started. It is a really easy recipe. We're using the method of equal amounts in terms of weight for your butter, your flour and your sugar. So we're going to add to our mixing bowl 325 grams of room temperature butter. Important to use room temperature butter because it's going to mean that your butter mix in well with your batter. We're going to add to this 325 grams of plain flour, 325 grams of soft light brown or dark brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar today. If you use dark brown, it's just going to mean that your caramel taste is going to be a bit stronger, which goes really well with coffee as well. We're going to add just a pinch of salt, four teaspoons of baking powder, just half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and 6 eggs. Now I always use large eggs for all my bakes, and the size of your egg can make a little bit of a difference to your batter. Wonderful, and we're going to pop this on our stand mixer using your whisk attachment, and we're going to mix it for probably about 1 minute in total, about 20-30 seconds to start with. Give our bowl a good scrape, and then another 20 or 30 seconds, just until your butter is really mixed in well and you don't see any clumps of butter in your batter left. Going to scrape my bowl down and give it another mix. Okay, so we're going to mix it for another 20 or 30 seconds. Lovely. So now I can already see my batter has gone a little bit paler in colour than it started off, and there's no lumps of butter that I can see, so it's all very well incorporated. So now we're just going to add our liquid to this recipe, and then we're done. We're ready for baking. So to this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, there we go. That's just for a bit of flavour. And we're going to add milk and instant coffee. So 4 tablespoons of milk at room temperature, and I've dissolved 3 tablespoons of instant coffee granules in the milk, purely that you don't have any gritty coffee granules left in your batter for any reason. I use quite an intense flavour instant coffee what you use is completely up to you. And if you just want a tiny hint of coffee, obviously half the amount of coffee you put in. If you really want a very strong coffee flavour, you can also use espresso rather than instant coffee, completely up to you. But the ratio here is 4 tablespoons of milk and 3 tablespoons of instant coffee. And we're going to add this all to our mix. Pop it back in your stand mixer, and we're now literally going to mix it for 15 or 20 seconds just for your coffee, milk and vanilla to be incorporated, and then we're ready to bake. Perfect. So it's as easy as that. You literally just add all of your ingredients together at the same time with this recipe, and you end up with a nice smooth batter, which is now ready to bake. Okay, now you can weigh your batter if you really want to make sure it's equally divided. I just do it by eye and divide it equally between the two 8-inch pans. I have very lightly greased my pans, and I've got a little circle of non-stick baking paper in the bottom. Now the secret with this cake, as with many other cakes, is go low and slow. So put your oven temperature, I bake this at about 140 degrees Celsius, fan assisted, and rather bake it at a lower temperature, because if you go for a higher temperature you get that volcano effect where your cake rises very quickly because of the hot temperature, and it bursts and form like a little volcano at the top. That's when your oven is too hot. So rather go lower temperature and bake for longer, and you'll get an even rise and a nice flat cake. It already smells so good. Now for the buttercream for this cake, you can use my standard vanilla buttercream recipe and simply add a couple of teaspoons of instant coffee that you dissolve again in the liquid for your buttercream recipe. Add that for your coffee taste, or just add coffee food flavouring, that will work just as well. Let's pop these in the oven and we'll see how they look when they come out. And there we have it, a beautiful coffee cake. It was in the oven at 140 degrees Celsius fan assisted oven for about 45 minutes. I start checking at 35 minutes, but if you move your pan like this in the oven and you see the middle wobble, which is what happened with me at 35 minutes, it's definitely not done. Don't even take it out to test it. If you move it, it wobbles, it's not done. So just add another 5 minutes if that happens. So it was 45 minutes in total in my oven, and you can see they're beautiful and flat, the rise, which is what you get from a low and a slow method. Whereas if you go higher temperature in your oven, you might get a bit of a dome cake because of the high temperature pushing the rise too quickly. So they were resting in the pans for about 5 minutes. You can see I can touch it already. Don't try and put it out on the cooling rack too quickly because it will stick to your cooling rack. So after about 5 minutes resting, we can now turn it over on your cooling rack to cool down. Look at that beautiful, beautiful cake. Another one. You can now let your cake cool down completely before you try and decorate it. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to the channel to see more from me in the future. See you soon. Bye.